my gorgeous plant people, welcome back to Rooting Mindfully. My name is Yana, and today I just wanted to do a simple video and talk about my favorite plants for the month of March. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So like I said before, I'm just going to simply talk about my favorite plants for the month. And I typically don't do these too often because honestly, I don't think that my opinion really changes that often. But today I just thought I would talk about some plants and give some plants some love because they have been doing really great, especially during the winter. And I just wanted to go ahead and spotlight them. So without further ado, let's talk about the first plant. And so the first plant is really just a grouping of my plants, and I just really fell in love with these plants all over again. This is my Syndaxes Silver Splash, and if you were on my Instagram over the weekend, I don't know, I must have like reawoken or something. I just went ham and went through my entire house and cleaned and cleaned up all my plants, and I decided to go ahead and restart my Syndaxes and my heartleaf philodendrons because if you saw my Instagram, they were just looking a hot mess, and I chopped them all back to start them all over, root them all over, and I even put them in one of those pots that I was telling you about in my last video that I had just painted with acrylic paint, and I just love the look of these. And if I can find the picture, I'll pop in the picture of what the other ones look like. But yeah, I restarted my Syndaxes, and I really do like the full look of my Syndaxes. Of course, when these do root, I'm going to find a new home for them because where I had them in my room, they just weren't growing as full as I wanted them to. My room doesn't get as much light. I mean, it's getting more light now that it's heading back into the spring and summer, but where they were, it just wasn't getting enough room. So I'm hoping that when I restart them, they'll be more full. And of course, I'll be sure to pay attention to the roots because a lot of my bigger Syndaxes were root bound, and they were so root bound that they weren't getting any water to the roots, and that's why they were always curled even though I was watering them like all the time. So that's my first plant, is the Syndaxes Silver Satin / all my other Syndaxes that I restarted over the weekend. My second plant is of course my Staghorn Fern. I will always pick this plant as one of my favorites. This plant is just such a vigorous grower, and it doesn't require anything but water. I am watering this plant about twice a week, and I do have to make sure that I do water it because it does dry up pretty often. It is even pretty dry right now, so after this video I am going to water this plant as well as my other ferns. I do water my ferns about twice a week right now, my ferns and my anthuriums, and I just really love this plant. This is a lower light option if you love ferns and you want a lower light option as well as a beginner friendly option. I would recommend this one. This one is so easy, and I just love how it grows so wild, and I could never say too much about this fern. I do have hopes to mount it one day, and I don't know, I'm really excited about mounting it one day. It is growing a new shield for me right here that I'm really excited about, and I just love this fern. I do love them in pots. I love them in those like rattan baskets. One of my subscribers had showed me their Staghorn Fern in one of those baskets, and I absolutely loved it, and I do love them mounted. So there's so many ways you can display the Staghorn Fern, and it's just really such a wonderful fern. I love the fronds that it puts out. It is just a really nice plant, and I never will get rid of this plant. I actually love this plant so much that I have 3 of these. And it's weird, the 3 of the plants on my list for this month are all ferns, so that's kind of weird. The next plant that is on my list is another fern. This is my Australia tree fern, and this fern is just doing so well. You can see that it has so many new fronds, This one is one that you definitely have to make sure that you water. I definitely water this one twice or 3 times a week, just because it is always, this one is a heavy drinker for sure, and this is what happens if you don't water it on time. I think this one also needs to be repotted. If you can see, it's starting to have the roots come out the bottom, so come springtime this one will definitely be one on the list. I do have a couple plants that already need to be repotted, as well as I've already started to repot some of my plants, just so I don't have to do them all at the same time. But this is just such a beautiful plant. I love the fronds and how broad they get and how full it looks at the top. I'm waiting to see if this trunk is going to get any taller, to see if this plant will give me some height, but I really love this plant, and I love the fiddleheads that it puts out. I think it's a nice whimsical plant, and I can't wait to see what it'll look like when it gets bigger. And the last fern on this list for the favorites for this month is my bird's nest fern. This one is just absolutely pretty. I love how shiny the fronds are. This one is another one that I'm gonna end up repotting. As you can see, the roots are coming out of the bottom, and this one too is really light, but this one is a really easy fern to grow, kind of like the Staghorn Fern. It doesn't really require anything, and all you have to do is really make sure that you water it. I did go through a period where I wasn't really paying attention to my plants, and the fronds did turn to like this light pale green that you see on the Syndaxes leaves, and that's when you really need to make sure that you water your ferns, because when you don't water them, they will kind of turn like a palish color, and then once you water them again, they'll get, you know, this vibrant green. But I just love the color of the fronds, the wrinkled, you know, the wrinkled texture. It's just a really pretty plant, and I love plants that are vigorous growers and that don't, you know, require anything extra. So this is why this one's on the list, because it just doesn't ask for anything extra. And these are one of the plants that you definitely want to own in your collection if you want your plant setups to look more lush and full. This is one of the plants that I would definitely add to that list. So I can make a video on that, on plants that you would want to add to your collection if you want like a lush home, because I think there are certain plants that will give you that look, and the bird's nest fern is definitely one of those. I'm gonna have to stand up for this. Ugh. And the last plant on my list is my Taneki rubber tree. This is just such a beautiful plant. I don't know what it is about rubber trees in me lately, but I've been really loving my rubber trees, and in fact, I think they have caused me to tweak my wish list. So if you guys want to know what's on my wish list for my plants for 2021, it has actually changed a lot. I don't think I want as many plants as I did when I made my wish last year. So if you guys want to see an updated wish list video, I could do that as well. But rubber trees are definitely on my wish list for 2021. But this is my rubber tree Taneki. As you can see, this is a new leaf that it's gonna, you know, unfurl soon. It just put out this one here, and then it's putting out one on this second plant. But if you guys watch my rubber tree care video, I was saying how these don't grow indoors for me. Well, what I did was I moved it under my Sandy light, and now this plant is putting off leaves. Like I said, it just put out this one, and it's unfurling this one, and then before it had put out this one. So this one has actually put out 3 leaves since I made that rubber tree video, which is awesome, because I thought that I was gonna have to wait till the summer when I put my plants outside on my patio for it to start putting off growth. But I'm really excited that now, you know, using my Sandy light, that I can still get growth, you know, during the fall and the winter indoors. So that's really cool. And the Taneki is just always going to be one of my favorite plants, just because how artistically structural it is, and you know, just the difference that you can get in the patterning in the leaves. You know, the leaves are never the same. I do have one leaf on here that is more of like a half moon, if you can see that. It's like more of a half moon leaf, and so you never get the same leaves, and that's just what makes this one of my favorite plants. And I will never get tired of looking at this plant. I did have this plant before in my care a couple years ago, and I threw it out because it kept getting spider mites. But now that I know how to deal with spider mites, that's just, it doesn't bother me at all. And in fact, this one hasn't had a spider mite issue, so that makes it any better, even better. I haven't had any pest issues with this plant, or even with any of the plants that I chose today. So all of them are vigorous growers. I haven't had any pest issues, and they haven't required anything extra besides me watering it. So those are why I chose these plants to be my top 5 plants for the month. And you know, if you guys want me to keep making top 5s for the months, I can do that. I don't know how much it's going to change, but yeah, I just wanted to let you know what kind of plants I'm currently feeling right now, and you know, which ones I'm currently looking to add to my collection in the future. But as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching my channel, commenting and subscribing. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more of me, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like my videos and hit the notification bell, so that way you know every time I upload a video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.